background.
Welcome to the Eagle Eye Podcast, the #1 show to bring you all things Club America and English.
Oh, what a strike! Club America!
Your hosts for today are Ivan Pineda, Cristian Rosendo, Alexis Juarez, and everyone's favorite cowboy, Dylan Jimenez. Now let's hit the field and start the show.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of the Eagle Eye Podcast. We're here to recap that amazing 2-1 victory over Rayados at the Estadio Azteca, the 3 points, what it means for us going forward, and everything in between. We have a couple club updates in regards to the news all around Coapa. CONCACAF Champions League looks like is on the horizon. We got a lot more of that information, plus some rumors in and around the club as well. And joining me to talk all things Club America, it is none other than our beloved co-host, New York's favorite, Cristian Rosendo, and returning back from New York himself as well, Mr. AJ. Gentlemen, how are we?
I'm doing good, Ivan. I'm doing good. Happy to be back on another podcast. Chris doesn't have a webcam. We still got to fix that. Absent for 2 podcasts. I hope he would have gotten one, but I guess that's not going to happen anytime soon. But excited to review the game. The upcoming one, talk about the last one. Lots to go over. But I'm sure we're all pretty happy about the result.
Definitely. AJ, how is first of all, how you been, my friend? We haven't seen or heard from you in forever on the podcast.
Yeah, it's been a hot minute since the last been on here. Got myself a full-time job while I was gone, so whoop whoop. That's good.
Nice round.
Just been enjoying Club America from the side, not having to really talk about it. I could just more chill. But I kind of miss being on the pod, and I'm glad to be back on here to just talk everything Club America. I'm excited.
Definitely. We're glad to have you back on. We definitely missed you. I know our listeners did as well. We actually were talking about you last week and talking about having you come back on and look at that. When you manifest things, it happens. And Chris, talking about manifesting things, looks like we're getting closer to manifesting America lift that 14th title after beating the favorite title contenders of the season, winning Monterrey 2-1. But before all of that, how is the GoFundMe going for the new camera?
It's been going bad. I'm not there yet. You can't see me. Hey, they complimented me posting pictures every week though, so I don't know if we should end that. Christian is so disappointed.
Yes, but you know what? I kind of want to see where you can kind of go with this. I'm curious to see what your next picture will be for the Clásico Joven, and then Capitolino, and then of course against Juarez. That's the one I'm really interested to see what picture you're gonna pick against
trust me,
Juarez.
I could get creative with this. I would be thinking about it all week.
Well, it's good to have you on, brother. I know the heat must be bothering you just as much as it is to me, but I'm glad you're on.
Yeah, man, allergies. A lot of
Allergy season right upon us. Well, gentlemen, let's talk a little bit what we were just discussing right now. America beating Monterrey 2-1 at home at the Estadio Azteca. Not the best of starts though, and we'll get into that in just a second. But Christian, coming into this game, knowing that we were going up against quote unquote the best team in Liga MX for this season, how were your nerves before the game kicked off?
They were pretty high, honestly, especially because of the reports I've seen throughout the week of the starting lineup. I know there's a lot of mixed feelings about who should be starting in those left back and right back positions. And as as season was going on, we saw that Layun wasn't really the best option, really doing the same thing every single time he's on the ball, losing the ball consistently, not marking his man correctly. So you bring in Lara. Lara has a couple good games and starts doing his regular antics of not marking a player accurately or missing a spot or creating a dumb foul. So then it's like you're on the fence of who to really put in. And it's honestly just choosing the best between 2 bad apples. And for this one, we decided to go with Layun. And surprisingly, it kind of worked out in our favor. But it's just when you have a team like Monterrey and they're so very offensive with all those players that they have, and you know that you have Layun on your team and he's starting, it doesn't really fill you with much hope. But I mean, listen, we pulled it out, but definitely high nerves before the game.
Definitely, indeed, and I'll go back to the whole Layun topic in just a second because I want to pick Chris's brain in just a minute in regards to that. But talking on the subject of the starting 11, AJ, obviously Christian mentioned the two big changes being Fuentes and Layun coming in. What were your thoughts on that, changing the defense a little bit there?
Um, that's good because you're preferably, I guess, you're having someone trusty in Fuentes rather than Chavarez, who's more accustomed to him being as a winger as opposed to being a left back. And then the change with Layun and Lara, I mean, I feel like no one's really going to be happy just because Lara, he could be kind of inconsistent times. He'll be getting some great games at him as a right back, but then at other time he would just completely mess up, allowing wingers just get past them, or he would mismark his man and they just allowed to get a shot on target. So I mean, I was fine with those changes, but against like the league leaders like Monterrey, you were kind of wondering. I hope this works out because if not, that'd be pretty bad for America side to try to switch thing up against the league leaders and potential runners for the champion this season. But all in all, it worked out in our favor, thankfully. So I wasn't really too bothered with the changes in defense. So thankfully, it all went well.
No, yeah, definitely credit to Dano Ortiz and his coaching staff there for making the right call. And Chris, we change our fullbacks, right? And it looks like we even lose some pace. And you think to yourself, well, that looks like it's not a good idea against this Monterrey side that knows how to attack and run at defenses. But like these two gentlemen mentioned prior, it all worked out. Funny enough.
Yeah, I think that's also a message from Dano to Baños saying, look, like, we need something here. I don't really have many options. Fuentes, you didn't really see much this year, but I didn't think he did that bad. And then Layun, you're just kind of scared that he's going to mess things up. You see that he gets booed, but I didn't even think he did that bad of a job on Saturday.
I agree. I actually think I don't know if this is a hot take or not, but I don't think any of the Monterrey attacks were ever in his fault. I think he played a solid game. Well, I mean, besides the crossing, right, which we know was absolutely terrible. I think at one point in the second half, he tried like crossing it three times in a row and could not absolutely get the ball up for whatever reason. And of course, that's the most frustrating thing about it. But it's okay because America's game is probably, I don't know, Christian, what do you say? 12% crossing the ball into the box and the rest is creating or trying to take a shot from outside?
Yeah, no, definitely. But like you're saying though, when you play for a team with America and you can't seem to cross the ball in after three attempts, it gets a little frustrating because you do see Henry trying to make these runs, trying to beat a man, and say, oftentimes he does succeed in doing that. It's just he has no one to place the ball in with him. I do agree with you that most of our attacks do come either from Cabecita or Sendejas, them just giving them the ball, trying to make them do a play. But it's never bad to have that extra outlet, on your fullbacks. And even though Chavarez is really in form right now, I think he does a better job in pushing and being more offensive than Layun. It's always, like I said, it's always good to have that addition in your arsenal when you're playing a team like Monterrey.
No, yeah, 100% agreed in that sense because it gives you versatility going forward, and that's the most important part for this America side. Um, Chris, let's talk about how America kind of played this entire game, actually, not just from the first get go or the first 45 minutes. I think I even texted you guys. We kind of predicted on how America needed to kind of start the game, and they played it to a T, right? We said they had to be aggressive, they had to go out there, and they had to kind of, make Monterrey a bit uncomfortable, play our game, and let Monterrey decide what they wanted to do. I think Monterrey got complacent, and I think that they were okay with the smash and grab, mainly because it paid dividends to them by giving them that first goal. But ultimately, even after that goal goes in, America has a great reaction. I think they play this game to a T, and it proves, I mean, in the result.
The only thing I would say, because I thought we played a great game, I just wish our offense clicked like they normally do. I think that's the only complaint that I have, because you see the goal and it's just unlucky, right? Malagon blocks the first shot and then it just gets to a Rayados player and he shoots it in. Not much really anybody could do there. And then, but then you look at the whole game and it just feels like this game should have been at least 3-1, 4-1. Maybe I'm exaggerating, but I think if this offense has a great, because nobody, like, I don't know if you guys noticed, nobody could give Cabecita a good pass. Cabecita was in a lot of like great positions to score, and nobody could give him a good ball. No one.
Yeah, I think that's one of the things that you would kind of highlight and say that America did poorly was kind of that last ball in the final third was lacking. I mean, Henry had a good opportunity. He botched that. Diego Valdez, I think, had two. He botched those as well. So it was quite unfortunate for America that they weren't clicking in those instances where we know they have the capability to do so. But ultimately, this was a very good game. I don't know, AJ, about you, but we've seen this team time and time again frustrate us, right? Uh, a tale of two halves, we always say on this podcast. But this seemed like the first time in a while that America gave us a very well-rounded 90 minutes.
Yeah, no, have to agree with you. First half we actually were giving Monterrey the scare. First thing, like the first 4 minutes, we made Andala try to make a good save already. So I'm like, okay, we're waking up. We're actually bringing the game to Monterrey. We're at home. That should be expected from America. But then when they scored, it didn't seem like everything was crumbling down. The team got themselves, they refocused, regrouped. They're like, all right, let's fight for this second goal. And that goal from Valdes in the 38th minute, that definitely gave the team the goal that they needed for themselves. Like, we're back in this. Let's fight for that second goal. There really wasn't a point in time where we felt like it was back and forth game. It's just from there, both teams started trying to break the deadlock after both teams scored their first goal and figuring out, all right, who's going to score that second goal. In America, with the lineup that they had, we were definitely able to do much. We were definitely trying to fight to score more than just the two goals that we saw in this game. But just as you mentioned, just no one could ever give the good pass to Cabecita. And I think we did mention that we were like saying like Cabecita was not playing great, but then what we're seeing more, it's like he's playing fine. The problem is just no one can ever give him the outlet pass to try to take on the Monterrey fullback. So because of that, he's just not able to do anything. So when you're doing at that, the only thing you could think of that sum out, well, we stayed with them and we were just trying to attack from there through the middle with Valdez, see what any of these guys can do until we could find that outlet pass. All in all, just America, they give it all for that full 90 minutes. There really wasn't a point that we looked really shaky, to say the least. I feel like we were in there for the full 90. We were head to head. We were head to head, and throughout that entire game, and the goal that we were able to get from Viñas definitely helped us out. And big heroic moments from Malagon, who is definitely a key factor into the reason why we were able to stay in this game for the full 90 minutes and ultimately get the 3 points at home.
No, yeah, definitely. And we'll have a little more discussion about Malagon and his heroics on the night. Carlos Diaz mentioning right here in the comment section, I heard Layun to make another start this weekend versus Cruz Azul. Which I would agree. I even would dare to say Luis Fuentes is probably going to play that game as well. I mean, go equipo que gana repite in a sense, right? So we'll see what happens, and then Araujo makes a return as well. Maybe he just means in this game and not to the actual starting 11, because I don't think we can. I don't think we should have Araujo playing in the starting 11 anytime soon. His form is just not there. But I kind of want to say something in regards to what AJ was saying in regards to Cabecita. I don't necessarily think he had the best of games, Christian. I even messaged you guys that I wanted him out. I wanted Brian Rodriguez in. What I will say though that AJ mentioned very well was that he was getting himself into very good positions, right? He has kind of this sixth sense as to know how to drift wide, but to get himself in those attacking positions that are going to be crucial, especially for a counterattack, right? But I don't know, instances where you give him the ball, he tries to take on a player, he looks he looks like a very flat player in that sense, very predictable, 2D in a sense, right? Not very I don't know what the word I'm looking for here, but not very convincing when it's a 1v1 situation. And that's why I said bring on Brian, because Chris, like we mentioned, he's very good at getting himself out of tight spots. So I don't know if you'd agree with that, Christian.
I do agree with you that I don't think this was one of his best games. But I also want to say that I think Monterrey did their homework. Cabecita in the past games before this has been on form, in my opinion. I think one of our best players alongside Diego Valdez. So I do agree in the sense that I think that when it comes to the one-on-one and to trying to dribble an opponent, maybe he isn't the best for that. But I think you got to give her credit's due. And like I said, Monterrey did their homework, did a good job at neutralizing him. So didn't really have to worry about him too much. But I think you make a good point when you say that. I think this was a game for someone like Brian Rodriguez to kind of come in and try to break the line and something, to get a good chance and try to see if he can combine with Henry at the point or Diego Valdez. Not one of his best games, Cabecita, but I think he should be ready for Saturday though, against his old club.
Which will be interesting. That's definitely for sure. But I mean, Cabecita loses the ball in the goal that we concede. I don't know if you guys can
He
go
lost the
back
ball
and
14
remember that.
times in this game.
Yeah, that's not a good number because he's just
Yikes.
not that great at dribbling for those 1v1 situations. Like, get him in open space or have him run to space, and he will find a way to put that ball in the back of the net, or even in tight areas inside the 18-yard box. Like, that is his that is his bread and butter, right? But when you have him like upwards towards the halfway line, and he just needs to take on a player or two, he sometimes just feels like very not convincing in a sense. So that's the frustrating thing about it. And then you bring up that stat right there. It just goes to show, like, he's, I don't want to say he's a liability for America, but knowing that sometimes on the counter we get caught with our pants down, like we did against Monterrey, instances like that happen. Although I wouldn't say that it's Capacita's fault that we got scored on. Actually, I don't really know who I would blame. It's kind of a freak of an accident,
Yeah,
to be
no,
honest.
the ball
It's
just kind of landed perfectly for
right.
Maxi Mesa.
And what are the odds that he strikes it and it goes perfectly into the back of the net, right? So I mean, credit to the player, right? Did a great job. No one's gonna doubt his talent, but it's like you see that 1v1, Malagon does great coming out, blocking it. And what are the odds that the ball's gonna land right there? Like right there. So it's it was difficult because usually when we concede, I can get mad and blame someone, AJ, but this time I really couldn't.
Yeah, no, that was a perfectly placed shot, and in those instances, you're kind of just like, well, that just happened. Like, even players
Yep.
on this other kind of just like, yeah, there's like not much. Like, Malagon did try, but it's like he wasn't gonna reach that rock. It's like, so be it. All right, figure out how we're gonna score. We did, thankfully, but just I had to like applaud for Monterrey for that. I wasn't even mad. It was one of those. I was like, yeah, I can't be mad.
Like we get dabbed on,
It is what
AJ.
it is. Yeah, nah. In the year 2023, I would have never thought I'd see Maxi Mesa still dab, and I'm like, yeah, that just annoyed me. It's like the goal didn't annoy me. It's more of the dab. I'm like, I hate you.
Crew epicness are kind of agreeing with us here, saying that goal was no one's fault. To me, to be honest, it just be like that, and it
Hmm.
just be like that sometimes too. And I guess that's the sense of it all. But quick response in a sense, Chris, because I saw America just push forward, and I guess maybe sometimes you need a little bit of divine luck or a bit of goalkeeper error, regardless of what you want to call it. Great great capitalizing by Diego Valdez to kind of never die on the play in that action.
Before I get to that, I wanted to add to you were saying about Cabecita. It's like he plays unmotivated, similar to Roger, but the difference is he could play unmotivated and score. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I can see it.
And so I was also gonna say he's like a nine playing as a winger, with how
Yeah.
if you
Yes,
don't get him involved,
100%.
he just completely ghost.
Oh yeah,
No, but yeah,
I agree.
that was a good goal from Valdez, which to me was he was kind of frustrating during the game because of how open Cabecita would get. That was my main thing with him.
I mean, yeah, no, 100% agree
Him
with
and Henry, they were. I just think Cabecita was more open than we give him credit for, or maybe not give him credit for, but he was open a lot, and you could tell like the link up was just horrible in that game. And like I said earlier, I think this game should have just been a good 4-1, 5-1 game, and I would have loved that result because we go into like Liguilla with that mindset, right? I know it's still 3 weeks, 4 weeks, but still, it's like a result like that would have been amazing.
It was, and not to downplay this result, is still amazing. I think that there's a lot of good stuff that comes from this one, right? And we'll get into the towards the end of the match how that kind of pushes America forward. But I mean, all in all, I thought it was a pretty well first half for America. Gets the goal, still even looks towards the end of the first half to get the second, and you kind of end up going into the halftime thinking, okay, we're pretty good. We're sitting well. I think maybe we just make a couple adjustments here and there, and we'll be fine. And ultimately, I think that's exactly what happened, Christian.
Yeah, just to add on to something about Diego Valdez, honestly, I think I don't know if I'm playing the contrary here or the devil's advocate, but I thought Valdez had a good game, and that goal that he made, I don't think he makes that goal in the beginning of his America career. It's just he's actually pushing for the ball, looking like he wants to play, looking like he wants to create, looking like he wants to be dangerous. If he
Like
doesn't
he wants to
push
be the 10.
Andrade, right? If he doesn't push Andrade, that goal never happens. You know, the defender
Mm-mm.
probably just gets it and just clears it out. You know, like he's playing with another level, with another bat, with another like dagger in him to kind of prove the haters wrong, the media wrong, the fans wrong about him. And I think this we're seeing Diego Valdez in probably the best form he's ever been at Club America. And we just need him to continue because without him like playing like this, we're not going to win the title. Um, I enjoyed his game. Maybe I do agree with some points that Chris is making that yes, he is blind a little and missed Cabecita on a couple of chances. But when aren't you gonna miss your players on a couple of chances, right? Especially when you're the 10 and trying to look everywhere on the pitch for an opportunity, right? But let's not forget that it was his pass to get us the victory too.
Oh no,
To
I agree
Venus.
completely. Yeah, I agree
Right.
completely. I might just think the first half, like it was just frustrating to see. Like
Right, yeah, yeah.
you'll see, I think Cabecita was just open a little too much,
Mhm.
and it wasn't just him either. It was also Henry that was just not giving him the great ball and
Right.
everything. That was just a frustrating thing for me. Like I said, like I think if in the first half we could have at least had a good 3-1 lead, even more. Like maybe not more, but like still it was he was wide open, and I blame
Mhm.
Valdez and Henry for that mainly.
That's fair.
But I agree completely with everything you said. It wasn't a bad day for him either. It
Mhm.
just feels like any other day where everyone's on their day, like it would have been goals all over the place.
It would have been nice.
Yeah, really nice. But that's kind of what this America team has, right? And we mentioned it, Chris, on the preview that this is a side that easily can put two, three, four past any team, right? It's just our defensive issues, on the night when everyone's clicking, especially when Diego Valdez is clicking. This team looks different. I don't know if you guys noticed that, but this team looks different when Diego Valdez wants to play, and he's been wanting to play for the past couple of games, and so now comes the big debate. Now he has to do it in the Liguilla, and who else has to do it in the Liguilla? Henry Martin, right? So it's gonna be interesting. And I'm not to say that we've secured ourselves in the top four spot, but now they kind of have that mindset that look, we're edging closer. We have to keep this form alive, and hopefully by doing so they can help feed Cabecita and get him into his best form as well in the America jersey. Because
Right.
imagine that attack. Sendejas already looks fired up, and we'll get to that because the man showed that he feels the colors, he feels the passion. Because playing with a broken nose is not an easy task to do, but he said I'm down to do it, and almost created an opportunity for America, by the way. But yeah, that's kind of the first half. We'll get into the second one now, right? The changes happen. Brian Rodriguez comes in. I think that gives America a little bit more versatility going forward, and you just kind of saw that okay, something's bound to happen, and something did. I mean, ultimately, even though it wasn't Henry, it was funny enough Federico Viñas. How did you guys feel about that? Federico Viñas for the W.
So I have a mixed feelings about this. So what I'm about to say, and I know you three can attest, and I'm not saying it because he scored the goal, right? But before we get even into the goal, I almost flipped out when I saw Henry Martin coming out.
Same.
This is a deadlock game against the best team in the league. You're chasing a goal. Why are you subbing out the league top scorer in a game like this? Why not just play them both up top? It just didn't make sense to me, right? But whatever, I can't go in there. I can't change what's gonna happen, right? So here comes Vinas, and the little movements that and the little touches and the little I guess space that he creates before the game is why, personally for me, is why I like the player. And it's not just this game, because he's done it throughout his time here. He just knows how to use his body to create a space. He knows how to trying to get in these tight little spaces, play from the back, and give 1-2s. That kind of has been his like his thing ever since he's joined America. This was a prime example as to why I think he is okay with being a sub player at America. Is these little sparks like this. I do think he has good ball control. I do think he has good play from when you're receiving the ball from the back. I think he holds the ball pretty well. And here was just, I guess maybe they just got lucky and you created the perfect play with Valdez and Viñas. But no, I'm personally, I like the player, and I know you three can attest to it because I know you three don't. But this is nothing new that I'm saying, because I've said this before. Even with everyone just bashing on him, that I do actually am a fan of the player.
No, yeah, no, yeah. You root heavily for Viñas, and I don't think we hate him or anything. I think he's just fallen kind of from our list of players we like and gotten down to the players that we kind of dislike, mainly due to the performance that he's been putting out lately, right? I mean, he wasn't able to do 10 minutes in a preseason game, so it's worrisome signs like that. But could this be the beginning of his redemption arc, AJ? I don't know.
That's a long stretch. Like,
Redemption arc is crazy, right? It might be a long
yeah,
stretch.
like,
Even
like,
even as a player fan, I don't think it's that deep.
yeah, nah, it's not. It just we he happens to be there at the right time. Balas gives the assist, and then he's like, "Yeah, put it right in." Viñas did it. Thankfully, I had vibes when Viñas subbed on and then scored like a couple of minutes later against Morelia. That's immediately what I thought was like,
Or
yes,
his Pumas debut goal.
yeah, exactly. That's
Yeah,
the one I
that one
thought.
too.
Yeah, it's been like, I think, like,
So,
what, 5 months in an official league match since he last scored. I was just
yeah.
like, thank God he scored.
Did you
Like
guys?
that.
Did you guys? Go AJ.
No, no.
Finish your
Oh,
thought.
yeah, nah. So like when you saw it for Henry, like if people were getting mad, I'm just like, I hope this guy, I hope our manager knows what he's doing, and I'm like, I hope this goes out well. Via score, I'm like, okay, he knows what he's doing. We're fine. I'm like, thank God he saved us. If not, everyone's about to throw so much hate onto the coach and be like, why did you sub
Oof.
Henry out? But I guess like he's like, yeah, I think I need a pair of fresh legs or something, because I know Henry was doing his very best, because he could not finish. I guess he was like, I'm gonna put Vinas in, see if something can happen, and it did. And to answer your thing too, I feel like why they couldn't put Vinas heading up front, I just feel like they're just ball dominant players. It's like if you just want one player to get, they're only gonna get. And I feel like Venus would want the ball as badly as Henry's concerned. He has not scored. And when you're putting two guys in there who like desperately want to score, I don't know if one is gonna be too selfish to pass off to one another. So I feel like maybe that's why they did the sub. Probably could just be me.
I think you're kind of onto something, AJ. I think there are two players that play with their backs against the against goal, and
Mm-hmm.
America needs a mobile striker if the partner striker is going to do that, right? So I don't know. I just don't think it pairs very well between Henry and Viñas. So we'll see. But talking about the goals that you guys kind of remembered, or that gave you kind of the throwbacks with Viñas. Did you guys see on Twitter someone dubbed the goal against Monterrey with with the commentary of when Viñas made his goal against Pumas?
Oh,
I
really?
don't.
No, I didn't see that.
I
No.
don't think.
Yeah,
I don't think I did. But
yeah. It was funny. I was like, oh, what the heck? People get creative, I swear. But
oh, and it's a Christian's thing. We say I'm a Venus here. I'm not, bro. I still got him as my header on Facebook. I still got him as my header, but vintage Venus though. I was happy. That's the kind. That's the
100%.
kind. That's as Carlos Diaz mentioned, like the hunger, the desire. Yeah, that's what we needed for a bench player. Like as soon as he got on, he's like, yeah, I'm gonna make the difference immediately. He did 2 minutes in. So
Crew epicness kind of shares the frustration of taking out Henry as well, as you guys can
mhm.
see right there. And like AJ mentioned, right, vintage Venus for me, hunger, desire. We need more like that from our bench players. And it alludes me to a little bit of something else that they were that I wanted to discuss. Dylan saying the gang is all here. Besides you, Dylan, you're the only one not here, but it's okay. We know you're working, doing hard, keeping America informed. Um, go back to kind of
One
what he.
thing I want to add though,
Uh huh.
remember Henry wasn't 100% throughout the week, so I think that's another reason why they sold them out.
And Henry was like
Yeah.
one knee to the back for being out for the rest of the season because Moreno just kept going at him.
Oh
Oh my
Oh,
yeah.
god, bro!
and
He
we
thought it
didn't
was
even
Luke
touch on
Shaw,
that.
bro.
We didn't
Oh,
even
we
touch
haven't
on
even
that.
touched
We
on
didn't
that.
even touch on
Yes,
that.
right. Two missed PKs that should have been. It's like never happened. I'm like, okay. So whoever was
Yeah,
saying
that
like it
was
should have been like
frustrating.
4-1, I think it was Chris. I was like, it could have actually been four. It could have been 4-1 if the
And then
PKs
the
were called.
penalty they give them, like
It's
Oh
very
yeah.
dubious. Yeah.
there's
Don't
always
don't
something
lie.
against the Rayados games, and I know, like, I don't want to be that guy to point it out, but like, it's always
2019
But it
anyone?
is.
some type of stuff. Like, and then like, you don't want to be that guy that blames the refs, but it's like, man, it's always against Rayados. Like, people will be like, oh, they own you guys. Like, yeah, well, when they have something always going, like, look at the picture I got right now. If you guys remember, like,
It's because you know what? It's because their check clears and ours doesn't anymore.
no, we
You
go
know,
to La Rosa de Guadalupe now. That's what
the
we're
Rosa
saying.
Guadalupe doesn't even make the same numbers, dude. I mean, it's getting outplayed by Coco Melon on YouTube. It's not doing the same numbers.
Till this day, I don't know
So
what Coco Melon is. I just always hear about it.
don't worry, just know it's beating us. America needs to get a partnership with Coco Melon. Maybe then we'll start making some money moves. Um, yeah, it was frustrating seeing that America players continuously getting bullied and the referee just like, oh no, it's whatever, just go play him. And I don't think he was being very protective over the Monterrey players, but there was one or two instances where you're like, well, how come you gave that and not the other one, you know?
Mhm.
So it's just frustrating, but it's hard because you can't really sit here and whine about it because at the end of the day, the result is going to stand with what was given and put out. And but I still think America did a very good job in regards to dealing with that pressure. But I wanted to kind of mention what Carlos Diaz said right there, that he says we need more like that from our bench players. And I would say that there's this unity in the locker room that for a brief moment I thought was not there. At the time where America was drawing all these games and you started hearing all these things and players being upset. This was all going when Oscar Jimenez was in goal and that some players weren't happy about his performance and yada, 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 right? All locker room talk. And I thought, wow, Tano Ortiz might be losing the locker room here like Solari did at towards the end of his tenure. I don't know what happened, but he switched things around, and this team has never looked more happier together.
Mhm.
Like the bench players aren't upset that they're bench players, if that makes any sense. Like they understand their role,
Mhm.
you know? Like I've never seen a Roger Martinez being so okay with not starting, with coming off the bench, you know? And you just kind of see this unity. A Pedro Aquino that, you know, technically could be a starter in other teams, but he's all right being right in the bench. You know, he's okay
Jonathan Dos
coming in.
Santos, for example, right? Like,
Yeah, Jonah Dos Santos as well.
he might go somewhere to get paid better than, I don't know what he gets paid with us. I would assume he's getting paid nice, but he could
Yeah,
still
he's
be
getting paid
that
nice.
player that sells jerseys somewhere else, and it's like, nah, I'm cool here. Like,
Yeah, there's a unity, and you see it 100% on the Viñas goal. The whole stadium explodes, but the whole bench explodes as well. They go, they celebrate, they hug him, they pat him. Someone might have kissed him on the mouth. I don't know, but this team looks like they're very very solid, like they're very united, and I think the whole team was so happy to see their own teammates score after you guys mentioned what 5 months without having a league goal. It meant the world to them, and just as much as it meant to Viñas, but it showcased that this team is a family, and you kind of need that kind of unity going forward because yes, there's been mistakes, and yes, there's gonna be a countless more mistakes with this defense. But when you have a team that's not kind of pointing fingers at each other and be like, oh well, you messed up, or it's your fault, or this and that, it's nice because you can make a mistake and be like, hey, you know what? Heads up, we got you on the next one, and that's kind of important going forward. I think that's gonna play as much of a factor as the form that we're in the Ligia. So hats off to Tano for keeping that locker room uh, intact. And I mean, to the players as well for playing their role. I mean, I don't know if you guys have anything else to add to that. I'm
I think you
assuming
summed it
not.
up. I think you
No,
summed it up perfectly.
completely agree, man.
Honestly.
All right. Okay. Well then, well guys, our amazing feeling of scoring that winner was cut shortly when we conceded that penalty that we were just talking about, right? What went through your guys' heads when the referee points down at the spot penalty for Monterrey? Christian, I'll throw it to you first because you're the first one shaking your head.
It's like that's the one you give, you know,
Right?
like um I understand the argument of why it is a penalty, and but all I'm saying is if you're gonna call that one, then the Hector Moreno on Henry Martin should have been the PK as well.
Yeah, 100%.
Maybe not so much the Cabecita one because I do think that he
He
does
tried to sell it
exaggerate.
too much.
He does
Yeah, he tried to
exaggerate too
sell it too
much,
much.
and so we can let that one slide. But definitely so if you're gonna go 1-for-1, then the penalty for Monterrey should have never counted. But here you go, 90th minute, Estadio Azteca up 1 against the league leader, and they have a chance to tie it. So now it's Malagon. Either you prove yourself why you're here, why you made it to America, or or they tie the game and we go home with 1 point.
And you're thinking to yourself, great, it's like the opportunity, like it goes either Malagon saves us or a great, again, Monterrey's going to best us. And I was thinking in my head, I was like, great, another game where we're going to drop 2 points, but we should be getting all 3. Like, I was just thinking all these scenarios and I was like,
Another
oh my
game like
gosh.
that.
Yes, another Atlas game, right?
Another
So,
Leon game.
another Leon, it's so
Uh,
frustrating. Dylan said, when the ref pointed, I knew Vina's goal was too good to be true.
that's how I felt. I'm not gonna lie. I was like, man, there's always like we always have a good. And again, it's them too. Remember like the picture I have right now, the Arroyo
Yeah.
free kicks, and then
The
they
Arroyo
call
free
a penalty that wasn't a penalty. Only in that one we did get scored on, but what I thought was, does this seal the job for Malagon? And I feel like, you know, you don't think it did, Christian?
No, I'm agreeing with you.
Okay. Like,
Yeah,
I was gonna ask you guys, like, how do you guys feel about that? Do you think this seals it? You think there's still too many games left
nah,
potentially,
that's it.
or you think this is just showed like leadership, like
I,
not
it, well, go. I'll let you guys answer, and then I'll give my 2 cents towards the end.
okay. AJ, go first, bro.
Oh no, I want to respond to that. PK, I was like, "Ta madre." I was like, you gotta be joking. Out of all times, like to call PK, it's like playing FIFA. They call a PK in the 90th minute. You just like, there's no way. And then they call and they're like, all right, let's just hope goalie can save it. Malago and save it. I'm just like, oh my god, thank you. Immediately wait for through the NAUSA to get the video, and I got the gift going. I was like, yep, nope, I'm doing it right now. Ball don't lie. Ball don't lie. That's
Facts.
all I'll
Never
say.
lies.
And for Malagon to secure himself, yeah, I think he pretty much essentially secured himself as safe starting goalkeeper at this club. I think he's now truly won. I'd say the FSU knows. Like, especially when we saw him in that preseason, everyone was hyping him up. They looked at him as like, this is gonna be our future goalie at America. And going back from that preseason, from the beginning of the season until now, we're kind of just like, yep, I think this is our guy. We got him, and we only have to pay like what, maybe 2 mil for him. So that's a W on us for once in the transfer market. Actually got solid goalie, and it's paying well for us.
Nice, nice.
Christian.
Christian, yeah.
No, yeah, I'm with you, Chris. I think this does it for me. At least until the end of the season, right? And then we know whatever happens in the off season happens. But I think Malagon came up huge here. This is the kind of goalie that I think that we needed for the entirety of the year. Someone that isn't afraid of a moment like this, and he just owned it. Whether the penalty was poorly taken or not, you still have to make the save, right? So he owned the moment. He understood what we needed to do here. He knew the importance of the game, and he stepped up. And that's all you can ask for in your stopper is to instill that trust in your defenders. Because now I think the defenders and the team, most of all, just trust him that much more in underneath the 3 posts, right? So good job, Malagon. You're very very proud. I think the you won over the fans, and this is our keeper at least until the end of the season for sure.
Mhm.
Yep. Chris?
Your turn, Ivan. I mean, for me, I've been saying Malagon. Like I told you guys, or I told Ivan a while back. Like this Marchesin talk. Like no, I'm not with it. Like if for me, I didn't. I wanted. I didn't want to waste a foreigner spot on a goalkeeper. So for me, he's been the guy. He's young. To me, we got him for. I don't even know how much he cost, but I know for a fact it's way cheaper than Acevedo. And for me, if he's not better, the gap isn't that far ahead. Like there's no if there's a gap, it's not that far ahead from each other. So for me, it was a steal signing, and I say give him more years.
Is the gap as close as MLS to Liga MX?
Oh
Oh,
man,
well,
here
that's
we
a
go
whole
again.
different conversation, brother. And you know, we'll have that when the League's Cup thing starts.
Oh
We'll have that
no.
talk.
I just had to throw it in there. Look, I'll say this much about Malagon. I was ecstatic when he made that penalty save, and not just that, he had some very good crucial saves in this one. Right, unfortunate that 1v1 goes into the path of the Monterrey player to score that golazo. But then he had I think a great save against Funes Mori, um, where he had to dive low and everything. So I analyze him very heavy critical, just because obviously Ochoa had that position before, and so in order to step up in that spot, you have to do a good job. And I can honestly say he's doing a fantastic job, exceeding all of my expectations. That's for sure. And this penalty just gives him one more above. Does this cement him as the goalkeeper for the rest of the season? Absolutely, no doubt about it. Does this performance alone secure him as the goalkeeper for the future of America? Not yet. I want to see what he does after. I want to see what he does in this next game against Cruz Azul. I want to see how he does against Pumas in these next two clásicos, only because I want to see how well he can ride the highs, because that's just as important as riding the lows. Because when you feel like you're on top of the world, you think you're unstoppable, you're prone to making those mistakes like you saw the Monterrey goalkeeper make, right? So keep going at it, showcase yourself, and kind of, say, okay, I had a good game, I had a good performance. And he's saying all the right things. I think they even asked him afterwards. They're like, "Oh, like you were the hero of the match, this, and that." And he was like, "No, I was just doing my job. We didn't win because of me. We won because of the team." And I think that's important, right? He's keeping himself very grounded, very level-headed. I just want to see what he's going to do moving forward. And I think if he can close out the season, just the regular season, we'll see what happens during the year. But if he can close out the regular season, these next three games on a good performance, in a regular kind of sense that he's putting up saves after saves, and just kind of giving that sense of security to the defense and to the fans, then of course let him ride the rest of the upcoming seasons as the starting goalkeeper. Because like you mentioned, Chris, I think he's a very good, talented goalkeeper. It's just, can he do it consistently? And that's the most difficult thing to do, especially at that age.
So for you, it's just gonna take the next 3 games to do a good performance, and he can be he can be the starter for at least the next 2 years.
Yeah, I'm willing to put all my chips on that.
Okay. I was thinking more if he won the title, then that for sure cements.
No, that gives him like another
for
12
sure
years.
He's secured. He's done. It's like, yeah, that's him.
No, I'll tell you this much. Sometimes it does, because Moises Munoz, as much of a club legend as he is, I think he got 1 or 2 seasons extra just because of the titles he won with America. Right?
And a lot of people were mad when we got Marchesin. They said, he's not doing a bad job, and I think it like you said, you have to analyze the whole thing. How much limited is he, right? Because it's like we look at it right now. We have a bad defense. Like maybe people won't agree that it's that bad. Maybe it's just the fullbacks and not really the center backs.
If
However
people
you want to
don't agree
argue
we have
it.
a bad defense, I don't know what they're watching.
Yeah, whatever you want. Because I've seen some people say it's not the center backs, it's just the fullback. So whatever you want to argue, you can't be a limited goalkeeper with these type of defense. So if Malagon, let's say, saves us, right? Maybe we don't end up champions, but he's not the reason why we lost. I think that's secure. I think what I've been saying, that secures them, right?
Okay, that's fair.
No, yeah, agreed in that sense. And I mean, that kind of sums up in that sense right there, that 90 minutes, and comes to an end, you kind of play it out. Like we get a one good counterattack where Fidalgo finally takes a shot. That man had so many opportunities in that game to take a shot from, you know, outside the box, and he just always wanted to find a pass. But he takes a wild shot from half court. And you know, when he first took that shot, I was like, oh my gosh, don't tell me it's gonna be another Rolfio Montenegro moment where we
Oh, that would
score
have
from.
been
That's
great.
exactly what I thought too.
and then Andrade just puts his hand out, and well, obviously at that point it was game over. But I was
Which
like,
was
okay,
dumb from Mandela because the game was already lost, and now he won't play the next game for them.
yeah, it's fine. We're not worried
Did you see the
their
criticism
consequences.
from Argentinians? How about that mistake? You
No,
guys
I
didn't see the
haven't.
post? They went off. They went off on Mexicans because they're gonna go off on Mexicans. But they even went off on us playing the lights when he gets scored on. But they went off on him and how I guess it's like traits that he had when he was in Boca. He was Boca Juniors, right? If I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
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 Stuff like that. Yeah.
Oh, interesting, interesting indeed. And we'll, you know, final whistle blows. 3 minute, 3 points, fairly secured in the bag. You climb up the table. America sits comfortably in third place, and that was a roller coaster, if not to say the least. Right, a lot of emotions, a lot of good stuff, a lot of worrisome stuff that America still needs to fix. But all in all, a good result that will catapult you forward into the next last three games where we know we need to be at our best. The one game that I think concerns me the most is the last game away at Juarez. I don't know. I think America is getting too complacent at being at home. I need to see them do it on the road. So let's see. But we'll get to that when we get to that. Anything else you guys want to add on in regards to this America Monterrey game, guys?
It was nice to see Richard back in the starting lineup.
It was. It was. I think he definitely helped move the play a
He
lot
did
smoother.
a
So
lot.
it
Yeah.
was nice to see him kind of orchestrate things right there. Anyone else?
No, that's it. I mean, I was gonna bring up the Fidalgo criticism that I saw and that I kind of agree with, but I don't know if we have enough time for that.
No, I want to save that for the preview because I think it's the preview for the upcoming Cruz Azul game because I think this is a game that he needs to a fuerzas like he needs to have a good game.
Yeah.
So we'll leave it to that. And the
I'll just say
criticism,
it is frustrating that he doesn't take enough shots from distance because there's
yeah,
some also.
especially when you're wearing that iconic number 8 jerseys that
Yeah,
have, you know,
that's the
carry the weight
most
of Carlos
frustrating thing. I'll
Reynoso.
just say that because I'm sure you guys had moments in the game too where you're just like shoot, and then he'll just try to give this
Pass.
tight pass, and it's like you're not
Yeah.
gonna make that.
We'll see. Um, but yeah, that pretty much wraps up America versus Monterrey. Let's go into a little bit of club news and let's go with a little bit of transfer rumors. We were talking about him a little bit earlier. Diego Valdez rumored to have a couple of European teams eyeing him. I don't know what you guys have heard about this.
I've heard nothing about that actually.
I've seen that, and it makes sense now that they're interested in Rojas, right? Now it makes
Correct.
sense because
Because if you're gonna, let go of Diego, then you obviously need a
attacking
competent,
midfield.
replacement. So just giving you guys that news in regards to that sense. I think that's the only transfer rumor we have.
And then the unnamed player that might leave, which we all
Oh,
assume it's
right.
better.
There was rumors, heavy rumors that one of the foreign players was heavily. Well, there's this heavy rumor that his family had to flee the country because he was getting extorted. Um, no news has come out in regards to that sense. Nothing from the club itself. So we want to just treat that as a rumor and nothing more. I don't know how concrete. I mean, it was from record, right?
Yeah.
Were they who broke the news? So it's somewhat reliable in that sense. So we'll keep you guys posted on that. Also, I just saw that today. Saw this today, or was it yesterday? I can't remember. But Brian Rodriguez wants to go back to Uruguay.
So
I don't know if you guys
according
saw
to
that.
the reports from over there,
Correct.
they haven't said anything in Mexico, but I mean, interesting,
He
right?
wants more playing time, which I
Yeah.
understand. I get. He's very talented, and I think that he definitely deserves to be a starter in this America side. Unfortunately for him, he has a cabecita ahead of him, who, like you mentioned, Christian, maybe not be doing the best sometimes, but he's got goals, and can't argue with that at the end of the day because they're what wins you games.
That's true. Very true.
Fits the system exactly what Darnold wants, right? His offense that
Right.
scores goals. And
I mean, we'll see, but I think that's all I have in regards to transfer rumors. I don't know if you guys have anything else you guys want to throw out in that.
Nothing too concrete I want to talk about.
Okay. I think that's that wraps it up for the transfer rumors. At least what I got in that sense. Um, I think there's only one last big bit of news that we have to discuss, and that is America looks like to have secured themselves into CONCACAF Champions League football for 2024, gentlemen. And I
Finally.
know this is finally America should be playing Champions League football all day, every day. Um, interesting because the first time I heard about it was yesterday. Someone just tweeted out like, "Oh, congratulations, America! We're finally playing Champions League football again." And I kind of didn't really want to believe it. And then it wasn't until we started doing a little bit more research. Chris, you sent me the new format, the new rules, right? With the new Champions League, there's going to be a lot more teams that get seeded. So Liga MX gets a total of 6 teams, right?
Yeah, 6
yeah,
spots.
So 6 spots. So obviously the champions of Apertura and Clausura, the runner-ups off of that, and then after that is the 2 next best teams that finish point-wise.
is it 6 or is it potential 6? Because the League's Cup one is 1, right? Or is that extra slot?
No, I think that's an extra slot added on.
Yeah.
Damn.
I think. I'm pretty sure.
Okay. Damn, 7 teams. That's a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, doesn't MLS have the most teams right now currently?
Yeah, but that's because they have the Canadian teams.
Yeah.
So technically, they don't have. It's because of that only because
Right.
they pick their own league.
So let me, for all of you guys who are just as confused as I was, I ended up doing the math here, and it gets tricky, right? But right now, Toluca and Pachuca have secured their spot into the Champions League, right? We don't know what the outcome is going to be for the end of this season. But looking at the 2 best teams that have finished point-wise between last season and this season is America and Monterrey. Monterrey leads by like 69 points over America's 65. So, no, excuse me. Am I getting this right? No, yeah.
No, yeah, you're right. You're right.
69 Monterrey, America 65. If Monterrey loses all 3 games, we could potentially, beat them, but I don't see them.
But it doesn't matter at that
doing that.
point, though, because we would still get a
No.
spot.
Yes, America's still second best right now. The only team that can get close to them is Tigres, who finished with 32 points last season, has 21 right now, totaling a total of 53 points. Now, if they win all of their next 3 games, get 9 points, they get to 62. Even if America was to lose all 3, they don't get anywhere near the 65 that America has. So, with that math in display, you see that America has, quote unquote, clinched themselves as the second best team in the league. So, with that said, they get a Champions League spot, which is
a first round Champions League spot. Just to be a little more specific.
Yeah. It's not straight to the round of 16.
Right. For that, we would have to beat Monterrey. No, we would have to beat Monterrey.
No, we would have to beat.
It's like a repechaje, in other words.
No. So we would have to just beat Pachuca's points, which we already do anyway, because I think only one champion.
Oh yes, correct. So you're right.
From either tournament gets into the round of 16, and that would be decided on points.
Yes, on points on the champions.
Right.
Correct. Which you're right. If America does end up champions, we automatically get that position because we surpass their points.
Yes, exactly. That's
Okay.
And that's
nice.
that.
Can you put that one that says "This sounds confusing" on the screen? Because
honestly, like even then, I like the first thing I thought myself was like, we didn't even finish in league, and we didn't even make to the finals. How do we get through until like the points?
So the point of all this is because they expanded the format just to add more teams.
Yeah,
so
W math, honestly.
Which I think is all right because they're trying to adopt the European kind of model.
Could have been done way better, but
Yeah, no,
I mean,
100%,
I think
right?
it's done this way just because of the formats of the leagues that we have in North America.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Would it just be easy to have 4 teams like they do in Europe, 4 teams from Liga MX, for top 4 teams from MLS, top 4 teams from Costa Rica, whatever, top 2 teams from Honduras? Probably, but I guess just like I said, due to the nature of the tournaments that we have,
Mhm.
the cups that we have, the playoff system that we have, I guess this is just the best way they could do it.
So we
Yeah.
face
So,
another team from Mexico. Is what you're saying to end up
I
going
think
in?
it's randomized. I think you
Yeah.
just
So
Okay.
it's just like just random.
Mhm.
So we may either end up with, you know,
which
another
I would
Mexican
think it would
team
be
or
like all MLS and Liga MX teams on one side, I guess, and then like
yeah.
the
So it's not
sprinkle.
repechaje. That's not what we're entering,
In a
right?
sense,
in a
we
sense,
qualify
yeah.
for the Repechaje,
Okay.
right?
Yeah.
Okay. I get
Yeah.
it.
Unless
Essentially,
we win the final. If
Do you
if
guys
we
Or
yeah,
League's Cup, right?
or
The league
Leagues
still
Cup.
goes in all the way in.
yeah. I think
I think Leagues
yeah.
Cup has a
If you win
first
League's Cup, you also go into
Yeah.
CONCACAF
round of
Champions
16.
League.
Yeah.
If you win it, yeah, you go right in.
Like right now.
Well, welcome to the math part of the podcast, guys, where we bring you guys all
I
things
suck at math, but if it
mathematical.
involves my team, I guess I'm good at it.
Get your calculators out. I mean, from the mathematical perspective, America secured themselves, regardless of what happens this season, right? Obviously,
Nice.
you need a W in the championship department, but it's good to see them play Champions League football. And Carlos Diaz said, "Oh no, sorry, there it is." Oh no, it was Midwestern Cholo saying we're probably going to see them in CCL more often with this new format. So
Yep, and that's true.
Yep. Which is
That's
how
good.
it should be.
Which is
And
good.
then
Now we
Midwestern
actually
Cholo
win
say,
something.
yeah, Midwestern Cholo saying, check out the
That's what I'm
Wikipedia
checking
for
out
more
right
details.
now.
It's gonna help us out. So shout out to Midwestern Cholo reminding us that Wikipedia exists to make all of our lives just that much more easier. But yeah, and as confusing as this sounds, America's playing Champions League
Word.
football regardless next year. So it's not even this year that we're breaking our heads over. It's next year. So, which
Gives
is
us
fine because
time.
it gives us time to kind of build to what we're looking for. Because, correct me if I'm wrong, isn't the following year also kind of like the big Club World Cup that they want to have?
Yeah, I think it's
Right?
after that one. After this Champions League, they're gonna have like what is it, two or three? I think.
No, I think that already started.
Oh, brother, we're giving.
Who won last year's Champions League?
We're just stressing everyone out with this.
Wait, who won last year's Champions League?
Come on, bro.
Jeez, it's
You go
it's
for
been a
them.
hot-
No, I'm talking about CONCACAF.
Oh, Seattle.
Yeah,
I'm like Real
Madrid,
Madrid, bro. What are you
Madrid.
talking-
Seattle Sounders,
Yeah.
and they got their butts knocked out right away.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's right.
So this new one takes place in 25. That's correct.
No,
No.
what new one?
The new Club World Cup.
Am I
Yo.
actually? I don't even know because it
I
just
don't
isn't
know,
in January when they do it, or have been doing it. Oh God!
Let's just
Hopefully Dylan doesn't listen to this because he already called us fake news.
Oh, we're about to
Let's
get
just-
sent to the office.
Let's just put a
right
wrench
now.
in this, and we'll come back once we get closer to that, and we'll give
Yes, it's
the listeners
2025.
a little
Last
bit
two
more
winners are Seattle and Monterrey, in case everyone was wondering. That's like the last two winners of
Right, exactly,
Okay.
and they've qualified already for the next World Cup, Club World Cup, the big one, the big
one.
one. Monterrey and Seattle have already qualified. So to get into that, we need to win the Champions League.
Seattle's gonna play it again,
okay.
Yes, because they've won it already.
so they're
Oh
playing
yeah,
two.
and Midwestern Cholo saying I think it's in the summer now, right? So they're
And isn't it
They're
summer? Yes,
leading
in
to
the
something.
summer
They're
of
trying to move
25.
it. Yeah.
okay. I get it. I
So
get what you mean.
whoever-
All right,
so
yes.
this is our last chance to get into the big one. This
Yeah.
tournament right here, this new one, this upcoming one.
the
We have
2024
to
one,
win.
yeah.
We have
Those-
to win.
it's a
or else
must
we won't-
win.
Yeah, or else we will not join the
And you know
elite.
America needs to be part of that big party. Okay. All right.
Yes, this is our last
Well,
chance.
We're gonna send a fax over to Coapa, letting them know the urgency of winning this tournament a year from now.
We win that and we make it to the Super League.
Oh my
Mm.
god.
Hey, that is tempting, man. You know how much revenue we can get off of that, but That's besides the point. All right, I think we've confused everyone enough. And I know I've confused myself, and I thought I was coming into this knowing everything already while I was doing my research. So it just goes to show how frustrating things are.
Yo, Chris is the mood right now.
Oh man, we're all just scratching our heads here, pulling our hairs out. Oh man, but just know, CONCACAF Champions League 2024, America, get ready. So we'll get into discussion more later on when we get more details about that. All right, any more club news? Any more updates that you guys want to have before we wrap it up here?
I think we're all checked out on club news
We're good.
for the day, man.
That's it. Yeah, that's enough.
We got a headache. That's all we got.
Yo, facts.
My head hurts. All right, look. All right, well, we'll just kind of call it there. We've stressed everyone out enough already. But with that said, if there's nothing else, I just want to say thank you guys to all of you guys who came out, listened to the show. Thank you to all my co-hosts, AJ, Christian, Chris. Thank you guys for making the time to come out, talk all things Club America.
Of course, man.
As
Anytime,
always.
man. Love this.
Absolutely. Love it. Love it. We'll be back on Thursday to give you guys a preview to the Clásico Joven, get you guys caught up and ready in regards to all of that. Hopefully, less confusing updates to give you guys in that aspect. So with that said, you guys take care, have a wonderful time, and as always, Arriba America. Good night.
Ladies and gentlemen, this was another production of the Eagle Eye Podcast, the #1 source for all things Club America in English. Make sure to follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Eagle Eye Podcast and get all the latest news and coverage. And subscribe to our podcast